right, welcome back to Wild Medicine. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Peris, and I am so deeply honored about today's conversation. This week, I'm talking to Alli Arruda of Inspire and Move and Benchmark Gym, and I've been stalking her on Instagram for a little while, and I think the thing that really attracted to me the most is how aligned we were with connection and community. She seems incredibly high vibe. She is high vibe. And I'm just so inspired by someone who I think puts themselves out there and tries new things and takes their own passion and melds it into the work that they do to create really meaningful impact. And so I think you're going to love today's conversation. We're talking all about health, money, frequency, scarcity mentality, getting in the room, coaching, investing in yourself to get the best health and abundant life. So without further ado, I welcome Alli to the podcast. All right, Alli, this is amazing. I'm so excited that we get to do this.
I'm so excited that we get to do this, and we get to be joined together in person, in studio, at Pearl Street Studio in downtown Burlington, just around the corner from Benchmark Fitness, which I obviously love so much. And I feel like we have had this beautiful, quick friendship that's just blossomed, but we've been online friends for longer than we've been IRL friends. And look at us just really stepping things into high gear in our beautiful relationship.
Yeah, when I had heard about you and then you invited me to an event, you're just like the most generous human ever. I was like, how are we not BFFs? Like, how have we not met before? So it's so nice. I'll say I practiced in Oakville for 13 years before moving to Burlington. And I just have to say, the Burlington community is just phenomenal. I feel, everything that we're about, community and connection, I feel like Burlington has it. And I'm not sure what took me so long to get here.
Now we just need to get you back.
Yeah. So
put you in put in my pocket in downtown Burlington. I'm going to keep you here all the time.
I'm not going anywhere.
That's true. But we have really bonded quickly, I feel, over the love of, health and fitness, which we already have a whole other episode planned for that. But also motivating and inspiring others, especially women. But I know I have a business that's about community. It was a brick and mortar gym space that's male and female. But I think you and I both do a lot of work when it comes to building community and creating those meaningful, lasting relationships that inspires people to feel their best, both inside and out, which ties in so beautifully with your profession and what you do as a naturopathic doctor.
When I learned about how important, how fundamental human relationships were for our health and longevity, it became an undeniable thing to prioritize that almost over everything else. Our relationships at 50 determine our health at 80. It's absolutely essential, especially I think for women. I think we are wired to be in communion with each other and to be rooting for each other. It just became something that I prioritize for my business above, one-on-one care, which is I think what everyone's so used to, right? It was a bit of an audacious ask to be like, okay, well, how do we help people get healthy and, build this beautiful life? And I think it's done a lot easier when we do it in communion with each other.
Well, and don't they say that is one of our basic human needs? And I'm quoting this documentary that I've actually not even watched yet, but I think it's the documentary Blue Zones.
Yes.
That studies what, these 5 or however many blue zones, how terrible of me, I'm quoting this and I've not even seen it. But I'm excited to watch it. And they talked about what people need for that long lasting or just the longevity of life. Mm-hmm. And I believe that community is one of them.
Yeah. In every blue zone. And that's where the most highly populated centurions, so everyone who lives over 100, those densely populated areas all have community as a foundational piece as to why their survivability far surpasses everyone else.
And has community always been something that you've had a deep connection with, or has it been something that you've grown into as an entrepreneur or through what you've seen with your patients and in your practice? Is it, the world of social media and online?
For me, what brought me to being so focused on community was my lack of it from a very young age. Mm. And so there was always a want to fit in and a chameleon-esque sort of way I moved through the world until I found belongingness. And once I had belongingness, that was it for me. That was the moment that I knew that I wanted other women to know what was possible, because it really changed how I saw everything and how much I believed in myself. It almost like fueled my passion, but it also, it fueled my own belief in myself and what was possible. And so I think that was like these little seeds that were planted early on. And then when I found out all of this research about social isolation and loneliness, and I had run like a couple group detoxes early in my career as a naturopathic doctor, and loved how much the women connected with each other when they were going through struggle. It almost seemed to be more motivating. I'm sure you see this in the gym, is like, there's times where you want to like kick your trainer a little bit because they really push you to your absolute limit, but you don't, because you're in the arena together doing something really vitally important. And so when I opened up my own practice, I actually picked a location that had room for community. And I was like, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be okay. I'll just make it look like it was on purpose. It'll be an IV suite. It'll be fine. But it ended up taking over and being my entire focus for how I practiced, and how women in my world actually had like thriving health.
Yeah.
Right? Like not just, they were taking the supplements and doing the things, but they were actually, falling in love with their life and doing things that absolutely lit their souls on fire. They were healing their relationships. Like it just became fundamentally important to the work that I did. I really now hold the belief that I don't think we can have thriving health without it. Like we can take all the things, we can do all the right things, but without community, without a solid sense or foundation of belongingness, I think it's all pretty impossible. How about yourself? How did you get into community and connection and that being a priority for you? Because it seems like such a natural part of the business you run.
It's so funny that I think it's actually been something that's really become a big part of my life and my brand, more so over the last 5 to 10 years. I've been in Burlington 8 or 9 years, and we joined this gym that we have since bought. Which is so interesting. It's a big part of our story, is that we were members of this gym for a long time. But when we moved to Burlington, it was mostly because, we wanted to live in Southeast Oakville, but those home prices and property taxes were outside of our budget. So we thought, okay, why don't we just go a little bit further west and let's look in Burlington. It seems nice. It's close to the water. And so we ended up here, and we live in downtown Burlington, Ontario. But I didn't have any friends here. All my friends were still living in the city. They still loved like downtown Toronto city life. And it was a big change for me to move outside of the city. And, when people back then would call it like suburbia, which I feel like our city is booming and has this wonderful community and population of its own. But it does feel like, because I knew that you were totally going to turn the question back on me. I was like, you better get your answer ready, Alli, and be prepared. But I feel like it has become something newer for me. The Inspire and Move brand has been around for, I should probably know my own brand anniversary, but I'd say about 10 years. But it started so differently than what it has evolved and grown into now. And I am so about community, and I really love bringing people together. And it's interesting because I'm an only child. I grew up as an only child, and I'm very independent, but yet I'm also extroverted. And as I've gotten older, I've realized I'm actually more of like an extroverted introvert, that I also really like alone time. Mm-hmm. But I love bringing people together and building community, especially now that I feel very comfortable and well connected and supported in downtown Burlington. And I love being able to create that for other people, whether it's mostly women through the Inspire and Move community and events, but also our gym, Benchmark Fitness, that is, co-ed gym. And I love when people share that they're new, and, making friendships or making friends as an adult is actually quite challenging. And how do you do that? Where do you go? And I feel like this is even kind of a cool pivot point for us from a conversation standpoint, is how do you make friends as an adult? And it's not something that people talk about. They kind of realize that I don't have any friends. I've moved to this new city and I have no friends. Maybe you've transferred for a job, so you have a couple office friends, but then it could be weird of what are these like interpersonal office relationships like, and office semantics. So where do you seek new relationships and friendships?
We created them.
Exactly. A mic drop for Alli and Michelle's communities and events.
Yeah, I run a women's circle called the Wild Collective, and we just started our first 10 months with the new round of women, and every single woman was sharing why they were there, and I was like, it's taken 8 years to get it to the point that it is now, and to hear women say, I feel like I was just coasting, right? We have our roles as wives, mothers, CEOs, we run homes, we do all the things, and we can get lost in the mix of the everyday. And to hear women saying, like, I want to remember all the moments, I want to be in the pulse of my life, I want to remember who I am, like, that's everything for me. And I think that potential can happen when you create a safe environment for people to flourish and rediscover themselves, because I think we can get so tripped up on what our identity is, especially as we become career focused and all these aspects or facets of ourselves. And there's just so much more to life and to health than those things. And I think when we can create environments, and I would think that, well, you've obviously built something very special, because I'll say I don't know a lot of gyms that are doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when early in my postpartum, I joined a gym, and there was, group fitness, and that changed the game for me. Even if I didn't talk or personally connect with all the women, it was like, I felt like I belonged to something. I felt like I needed to show up. I felt like my presence was missed, or I missed someone's presence when they weren't there. And it was so highly motivating in that early phase of, forgetting almost who you are, lack of sleep. And I would get up at 6 a.m. and go to these classes. And I think that's what attracted me to the work that you do, is now that I know how vital it is for my health, and I prioritize it over everything for my patients and for myself, like, I want to be associated with brands and businesses that prioritize the same thing, because it's that important, and it makes life and doing hard things that much easier and more fulfilling. So I think you should be really proud of what you've built, because I certainly have, as Instagram friends, been very impressed by everything you've done.
Thank you. And I think there's something so powerful in the statement about, you could go the field of dreams quote of, like, build it and they will come, but also building what you wish existed. And I hear a lot of founders talking about that when they create a brand or a product, that even Lori Harder, I'm a proud investor of her company, Glossy. And she had a big pivot with her business and product, but she now has Glossy, which is a skin hydration product that you can drink. It's a skin routine you can drink. And it's got electrolytes, probiotics. It's a wonderful product. But she created it because something like that didn't exist. And she, would have electrolytes, but there'd be a lot of sugar or salt or ingredients you can't pronounce. So she decided to pivot her company and build something that she wished existed. I've always loved fitness. I love building community. I also love wine. So why not create a lifestyle gym that has, like, monthly, quarterly member socials, and we will have wine after our workout. And we do, holiday parties for our personal training clients, and we have wine and cheese and things that some people might think that you don't have, or that you need to be restrictive of when it comes to having a, fit body, healthy lifestyle. All of those things are very balance oriented, and it's things that I enjoy. Working out and wine are both on my joy list. So I'm going to combine the two together and have it in our business and for our community, and see those relationships grow over, sweating together, pushing heavy weights, pulling heavy weights, doing hard things, and then being able to celebrate that, workout victory with a glass of wine and good connection and conversation. And it's really nice to see that balance. And I think that it's a beautiful balance that you can weave into whatever you want. Anyone listening to this in both of our communities, what is it that you want to create? What is it that you wish existed? And how can you take these baby steps, these actionable steps, to build what you wish you had at your disposal?
I really relate to what you're saying, because I remember 8 years ago when I wanted to start a community, like a health-inspired community. I remember my business coach was like, "That's a great idea, but this is going to be super hard." I was like, I'm up for hard, because I think it's worth me figuring out if it doesn't exist. So I need to create it. And we've certainly had our fair share of pivots, and things don't work out, or launches that flop, but I wouldn't trade it for a minute. I think I couldn't agree more with what you just said. I think we need more women in the space who figure out or see a problem that needs correction or a product that needs to be created and go out and do it, right? Like I think it's so vitally important. And I think one of the things that you and I have connected so much on is, getting in those rooms and, working with coaches and collaborating with like-minded individuals. Like I am more careful these days about how and who I talk to, especially with some of my most,
Deep
prized
secret
ideas.
totally.
Yeah. And what I really loved about you and our quick connection actually is just also your equal transparency. And I think a very similar level of willingness to put yourself out there and try new things and get in those rooms and grow and expand. And it's super invigorating and inspiring to be around.
Well, it's really fun, and I've learned this, especially over the last 2 years. Matt, my husband, and I have been investing a lot more, and we've been growing in our business. So that means that we are now investing larger dollars in getting in those rooms, having mentorship and support, networking, and we've really felt that expansion. And I love going deep with people in terms of the conversations, rather than asking, like, Michelle, what are you going to have for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
Tell me what your big goals are. But I totally agree with what you've already shared about you have to be very mindful of who you are having those conversations with, because not everyone's going to be in your cheer squad. Some people will be nosy and they'll just want to take that information and maybe they use it against you. Maybe they start a rumor and they change the number or they change your goals. My dad used to always say that you want to keep your cards really close to your chest. And that kind of applies to, I don't know, dating somebody new for the first time and not oversharing with your girlfriends or business ideas. And both of us have had a lot of really beautiful learning lessons along the way. And that's a wonderful thing about entrepreneurship.
Such a nice way to say
Isn't it? I'm saying it with the biggest smile for all of our listeners, that those challenges are just wrapped up in a pretty little bow as a gift from the universe in the form of a lesson. Or that lesson is in the form of challenge. Maybe that makes more sense. No matter what, they're not super ideal, but we can extract learning lessons from them. And I think even sharing vulnerably with the right people can be quite powerful, because I think a lot of us in the entrepreneurship space as high performing entrepreneurs, you want to have a lot of that mindset work, that mindfulness work. And I love talking about my goals, and then I love talking about how I'm going to celebrate my goals when I get there. But it's also knowing who to have those conversations with.
Yeah, I'm still definitely learning that and appreciate those when you finally make that connection, when it's aligned. I definitely don't like to do surface level anymore either. I've noticed that about myself. I'm like, I don't want to talk weather.
Peel back the layers. Tell me the good stuff.
Yeah.
And how can we help each other? Or, those are some of the things that I really get a lot of joy from, is referring people and supporting each other. And I think that's something that even comes as a result of community, is knowing how you can support people with their businesses, with their products. We had another interview before this one, and then we all went to get a coffee, and now you have an eyebrow appointment booked, and you're going to be supported and taken care of. Probably have a swag bag of product waiting for you at HB Face Oakville, because of this room that we're in, recording podcasts together, and like-minded energy and mindsets, that you are excited to support Haley, who you just met, and she's excited to take care of you and make you feel beautiful by way of what she does. And I love that so much. And I think when you can sit in that energy of how you want to support your peers and people in your community, that it doesn't feel like work. You're always doing the work for your network. I heard Brendan Bouchard say something like that at one of the events that I attended earlier this summer that Chris and Lori Harder hosted. And he had so much wisdom. He's just this amazing energizer bunny. And he talked about supporting your network and always working for your network on their behalf. And I thought that was a really powerful takeaway.
Where do you think that comes from for you? Because I think that's a really special thing that you have, where you really are trying to support and facilitate collaboration and connections.
I think knowing and really feeling, which I will put some heavy weight on that is important, of really truly feeling it, not pretending it, but being in that state and of belief that there is so much opportunity to go around, and there is room for all of us at the top. There's room for all of us to win. There's room for all of us to make millions of dollars and have so much abundance and success. But you have to really, truly feel that. You can't pretend, because that energetic alignment, like, I'm kind of woo scale. I'm not super woo, but I'm not anti-woo. But I do feel like there's a lot to be said about the energy that you sit in and how you facilitate those conversations and referrals, and really, truly feeling that there is so much opportunity to go around and there's so much room for all of us at the top.
Yeah. Okay. So what I hear from that is a really high level of self-trust and self-respect, which allows for you to not worry about it taking anything away from you by helping other people and supporting what they're doing.
Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there's a time where I'm like, I would love some referrals to come back my way. I have my moments. I am human.
You're human.
I'm human. But at the same time, like, really believing that reciprocity, like, it'll come back. And I've loved hearing this from some of the people that I look up to, that they say, like, this or something better. Yeah. So I'm excited to make referrals, and I'm excited to see you win, but I'm excited to see this or something better come back for me. And I think if we can say that with confidence and feel that it will come back better.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty woo.
Yeah.
So
you're probably more woo than me, but teach me, give me your woo ways.
I think that that's absolutely true. I think, from a vibration perspective, I think always maintaining your own integrity and high vibe and putting that out into the world, that's what you're going to attract. And you might not always see, immediately the hard efforts that you put into being generous, but yeah, you're never going to lose by being generous and always thinking of others.
I've even heard that when it comes to philanthropy, whether it's tipping a larger percentage or giving money away to causes that you love and support, that we need to have this, and this is kind of going in the direction of money and money mindset, but having that great relationship with money where, okay, I'm going to donate $100 to, I'm a big supporter of mental health, so I'm going to use CAMH as an example. I'm going to donate $100 to CAMH, even if maybe I only made $250 this week. I think when you are in more of that, starting phase of building your business and your relationship with money, that can feel super scary. Mm-hmm. But knowing that and again, you have to feel it, the energy behind giving that $100 away, that you're probably going to get $300 back somewhere, and being excited to give away that money. And I remember actually when I did not have a great relationship with money and I would get checks in the mail from my network marketing company, I got to a point where I would celebrate the check. Like, oh my gosh, I just made $35 and I'm so excited for this check. And this check is going to buy me bananas or, a couple things on the grocery list. But having the moment of celebration, and I think you can apply that to a lot of things where if you do receive a referral, I just referred a photographer who did one of my recent events, and I referred her to for a paid opportunity, and she was so excited and sent me this beautiful text like thanking me for the referral. And that is so nice to receive when you can have someone's love and gratitude and appreciation to receive. That's just moving great energy around.
Mm-hmm. I had a mindset coach that would make us pull out cash, and we would literally have to go and hand it out in really uncomfortable situations where people would be like, why are you, and you think you're good with all of that until you start watching how we all are, because money has such it's a frequency, right? It's inert, but it's the power we give over it. But I love that you share that, because I find that really interesting. And now I try and live by that I always have that idea of circulation and wanting to watch where it's going to come from, because it's pretty cool when you start to step into a new level of thinking about that and not worrying about what you're going to get versus what you're going to get versus what how you want to give.
Absolutely. And the money mindset and money energy is something that I'm really doing a lot of work on myself right now, and I'm really excited about it. Give me all the woo-woo, creating money, energy of money books and podcasts and coaching that it's something I do feel super excited about, of working on and feeling that progress and how I can give money away and how it's going to come back and money flows to me freely and easily and all of those beautiful manifestations or just words of affirmation when it comes to creating abundance. And that kind of goes back to believing that there is so much room for all of us at the top. And one thing I'd even add to that is scarcity versus abundance. And I have seen this in some of my work with partners and brands I've done collaborations with. I could feel the scarcity mindset from them, like in conversations or how they would want, like obviously if I'm working with a brand, I want them to feel supported and that they're getting the best value and high quality content and we're hitting their key messaging and all of those things. But some of them I could almost feel the scarcity. And eventually I was like, I just don't know if that's going to be the best energetic match moving forward. And you could apply that to a lot of things. If it is, employees or contract employees, if it is other relationships, just peers in your area of expertise, your entrepreneurship ventures, you can feel the energy behind scarcity versus abundance. And that's one thing I've learned by my own experience. And I always believe now about abundance. There's room for everybody at the top. I have the opportunity to make lots of money. I have the opportunity to give away lots of money. And you can, if you just think about that as you're listening to this show, whether it's my show or Michelle's show, but you're listening to this episode and you can close your eyes and feel yourself feeling abundant, that you have this opportunity to get great success, achieve great success, and earn a lot of money, and give away a lot of money, and foster these incredible relationships, that there's so much room for all of you to succeed. It's a really powerful feeling.
Yeah, and you're kicking up a lot of stuff for me as you're saying it. I think sometimes you learn the hard way about where scarcity exists and what you're willing to touch and no longer entertain as you learn some challenging lessons. And I just feel like it really, that level of integrity matters a great deal. And I think it's really common because a lot of our back story, right, what our parents say about money, all of those, early childhood experiences, I think from the ages of 0 to 7, or, there's your subconscious mind just taking everything in and has no discernment about what is actually real and what is opinion. But to that child, it's all real. And so if, you heard your parents say money didn't grow on cheese, or who are you to want all of that, or that's a crazy idea, it's really easy to get tripped up in your own thought process and to kick up your own scarcity. And I've certainly had parts of that along the way and realized how important it is to, one, work with someone to start overcoming those ideas, to start playing with this idea of abundance and not being in scarcity, and trust that you're like divinely guided and everything is going to work out exactly as it should. And who you want to be and how you want to be of service to others without any evidence that the reciprocity is there, right? Which is, I think, takes a great level of trust in yourself, and that you are held and supported, because it can be a little jolting along the way, right? Because you don't necessarily see all those referrals right away, but I think this is a huge one. I think when it comes to health, other than social connection, like finances are a major predictor, right? They cause a lot of discourse in relationships. It can cause a lot of stress and make it really difficult to reclaim health. And so I think this is an important one for people to understand and to really start to embody that idea of abundance, right? Because if we are moving through our day in that scarcity frequency or that scarcity vibe, it's really difficult to see that the world is also in service of you, or that everything is happening exactly as it should.
Oh yeah, and I love what you said about being divinely guided. And what you were just saying, it made me think of a book. I think it's by Louise Hay. Is it This Is How You Heal?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's great. I think I got the title correct. This is how you heal, or you can heal your life.
You can heal your life.
Is that one?
Yeah.
And in the back, there's a guide where it'll sort of chat through, it'll guide you through kind of like head to toe of if you have back pain, neck pain, right side, left side, and how that correlates with certain stressors or ailments, like health ailments. And you probably, I shouldn't even be saying this. This is more your topic and your expertise, but what can be connected from ourselves physically with also these stresses like money or love, relationships, if it is like success patterns and growth, all of those things. I'd even love to hear your thoughts on this in terms of, physical connection and health with some of these life stresses. Like, let's maybe even use money as example number one, followed by relationships.
Ooh, I don't know. Well, I feel like you're opening up Pandora's box.
Pandora's box.
How much time do we have? Our issues are in our tissues. Like our body keeps score. I'm just naming titles of books now. But,
love that.
Every experience we have, every relational dynamic, every currency like money influences how impacts your experience of those things. Let's say your perception of those things is what ends up being what your body holds on to, right? So if you're navigating the world and you're feeling really afraid to invest in something, or if you're going through relational distress, or you're sweeping things under the rug, that it doesn't get dealt with, therefore it has to go somewhere. And that energy absolutely physically manifests, and how it shows up is there's some really cool books out there about making those correlations, like money and frequency being really lower chakra, like root and immune system, and lower areas of the body causing like imbalances. And then there's also just like your own perception or your own internal weaknesses. Now I know we're going super woo, but this is what I love about health. I think for me, I practiced like your quintessential naturopathic doctor for a really long time. And I really tried. I really wanted the supplements and all of the things to be all that we needed. But there was always something missing. And for a lot of women, it was, that they were in relational distress, or that they actually at the root of it don't feel worthy of achieving what they're achieving. And so they would get so far, and then they would meet that threshold of comfort, or that fear of actually, I think
like
it's
the upper limit?
Yeah.
Like the big leap?
Yeah.
Like upper limiting yourself. And I love what you said also about worthiness.
Yeah. I think that's at the root, to be super honest. And I think when we start to reach that upper limit, or stretch beyond our comfort zone. I think it's Marianne Williamson who says, like, we fear our light more than we actually fear our darkness. Like, who are you to be to outshine or move beyond your generational wealth or your generational how women show up in the world? And so we tend to shrink and slow down because the thought of not belonging, the thought of not being a part of the community is so terrifying that we end up playing small. And so then we end up holding things in, and that accumulates in the body, and it makes it very difficult. And so I found, as a naturopathic doctor, before I had Wild Collective, before I had a way of really having conversations I think that mattered with women, they would come in and they would do all the things, and maybe for a short period of time, but not long enough, and come back and be like, I don't know, it's just like not working or whatever. Or they wouldn't come back because they'd feel so ashamed because heaven forbid you have to tell your naturopath you didn't take your ashwagandha every day, right? Or whatever. And that's when when we had the time to have conversations and really unpack what's at the root, then, the money, the relationship, the lack of connection, the relational, discourse, the scarcity that gets kicked up. I think those are bigger perpetuants, determinants of health than your supplements or, I've had so many conversations this week, and this is hilarious, about CMOS, and no criticism, but I heard it 4 times this week. So there's obviously something about CMOS, but I was like, what is it with CMOS? Like, what about our people? Are they going to sleep on time? Are they, having conversations that matter? Are they connecting with the people that matter to them? CMOS is like step 800. Yeah. Right? Like, if the basics aren't there, if we're not talking about money, if we're feeling unworthy, if we're, not moving our body, if we're not sweating, like, you can't take enough ashwagandha to fix that, right? So
Absolutely.
I think that's why the work that you do and the work that I do in circles matters so much, because we get to really get to the foundation of what really matters to people. And then they get to take that wisdom and do something awesome in the world. And we can do it in gyms. We can do it sitting in women's circles. We can do it in conversation over coffee with each other. It can be a lot simpler than we think, but that is way more powerful and way more important and predictive of longevity than whatever is the latest and greatest thing out there.
I love this so much. I'm getting so fired up, and
I know. I feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah, but I've like turned so much more woo in the last like half hour. Yeah. Tell me more, and then let's circle back to CMOS because I don't know all the details.
I
about
know
it.
nothing about CMOS, but I heard about it 4 times this week. I swear to you, I was like, where
I've
does
definitely
one
had
find
it.
CMOS?
I've had it in a smoothie, probably in LA. I think it's in the Haley Beaver smoothie that's like 42 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
I think there was CMOS in there, so I have had it once. But I wanted to ask you, kind of riffing off of this, what do you believe, even if you had to say like your top 5, what do you think are top 5? Let's go 5 to 10, just to see. What do you believe we need to achieve great health, in your opinion, as a naturopathic doctor?
Okay. Incredibly biased, but community is number 1.
Love it.
I think we need to sleep. I think we need to have conversations that matter. Because otherwise we ruminate. We were talking about before we recorded how much we take to bed with us as entrepreneurs. Like, oh my God, like the checklist, right? Like it's nonstop. So I think we need to be in communion and having conversations so that we can put stuff to rest, so that we can like sleep peacefully. What else do I think? I think we need healthy digestion. I think we need, simple, healthy, whole food. I think we need to manage our stress. And that sounds like a big topic, but doing things that help our nervous system calibrate, like feel calm. So for some of us, it's cold plunging. For some of us, maybe it's CMOS. I don't know.
Yeah.
For some of us, it's a good night's sleep. Conversations. Like I'll tell you, it jacks my nervous system to hang out with a bunch of women at night. Like I don't go to bed till late, but my cup is full. Like I feel so happy, and I feel like so that's it. Doing work that is meaningful.
What do you feel is when you are in your zone of genius? When do you feel your best?
Yeah, when I'm sitting with women in a
love
circle.
that.
Yeah. And that's thank you for asking. I'm now unapologetic about how I help women in one-on-one. So I built community into my metabolic reset program. I figured out what works for me, and I own that. And I think that's similar to you. You know what your gifts are, and you're like, okay, how do we take all of these gifts and turn them into how we impact the world? And maybe someone else doesn't get, I'm sure a lot of people are like, I don't get it. What's Wild Collective, what are you doing? But it works for my people. And when I sat in that circle this week and I heard women share why they joined, I was like, okay, I think my messaging landed. I think all that work that we've put in, like things are finally coming together, and I'm not going to apologize for being so different.
Absolutely. You never should.
Yeah.
Because you've worked hard to get where you are. You feel your sense of belonging. You feel your sense of community. You are a leader in your community of what the experiences that you are curating and offering to these women that clearly need it and want it and that are flourishing because of it.
100%.
And I think having that why, going back to the very beginning of our conversation of, why community, when we started community, and then the idea of building it and they will come, or building what you wish existed, that's how even my girlfriend's walk event started. Last year, I did one in June, and I thought Kelly's Bake Shop could be a really fun partner. It's a fun brand. It's very female-centric, pink. Let's see if they want to work with me, and we'll do this one time, and got quite a few girls that came out. I was like, well, that was kind of fun. Maybe we'll do it in July. And then next thing you know, we're in season 2. Sounds like a Netflix episode, but we're in season 2. Now I've taken them outside of Canada into the US, and I get a lot of joy doing that. And, it's different as the leader where you're sort of bouncing around. And I'm so grateful that you've been to a girlfriend's walk to experience that. But I'll bounce around and want to be part of the different conversations and ensure that people are feeling supported. I know it's a walk, and people probably think, why do you sell tickets for a walk where everyone's using their own legs? But it's an experience that I'm curating bringing partners along for the ride. I want to ensure that the partners have great value and that they feel like it was a win, but that these girls that have spent, a few couple dollars, 15, 25, 35, whatever the cost is, that they feel like it was a great experience and that they got something out of it beyond just like swag bags, but that they truly felt connection, because that's what you're investing in. And that's what I'm curating. And I want to take the time to ensure that, okay, you actually said that you were looking for a naturopath. So I want to make sure that you're going to meet Michelle and that you guys are going to have a nice conversation, maybe exchange Instagram or numbers, and then you tap into the opportunity of reciprocity working for my network, that you've had a great experience, that this girlfriend who's spent $35 on a ticket has also had a great experience, and they can walk away feeling like that was a win of an evening. And I'm so glad I spent 3 hours of my time in the Inspire and Move Girlfriends Walk.
When I became a naturopathic doctor, I wanted like all the complex, like here's the sophisticated plan you can only get here. And what really matters is that we walk, that we talk, that we, connect. And what you're providing is foundational. And I can't think of anything more important and a better use of our time than to be doing things like that, right? So it's all like full circle. It's like, yeah, maybe not everybody's going to get it, but I think it's pretty amazing that you're curating something where people are getting healthier, they're getting used to getting outside, they're getting vitamin D, they're laughing. Like these things they're so, so vitally important for thriving health, and you're just providing that. You're providing the opportunity for people to be able to do that meaningfully. And that adds a lot of value. And sometimes we don't get to see the ripple effect of how that feeds an entire community, but I'm confident that moments like that that there's a huge ripple effect, that there's a lot of people who benefit by you sticking yourself out there, putting yourself out there and doing things like this and providing those opportunities.
I think I need to have a little line that in the Girlfriends Walk experience, you are going to tap into Dr. Michelle's, top 10 things for living a long, healthy life.
And I didn't say movement, but I want to add that.
Movement, so important. It's on my list.
Yeah.
Okay, as a takeaway little nugget for everybody listening to both of our shows, what do you feel is a great first step for someone that's listening to this and they're like, community, I have no community, where do I start? What would you say would be a great first step?
Just reach out. So whether it's you have a community to reach out to, be intentional and send someone a text, let them know you're thinking of them. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. If you are in the stage of your life, maybe you're new to a city, or you're looking for a more like-minded community, look for events like yours. Like it's so simple to just get yourself out there. It looked like there was a lot of new people at your last one. They don't really know anyone and they're coming. You've obviously created something safe enough. It's super vulnerable for a lot of women, right? Like totally. Sisterhood has not been safe for a lot of us. That's definitely my story. If I shared in my most recent podcast, like I'm super awkward at new events. Like I am scared, right? Like it takes a bit for me to warm up. So for women to trust something like yours is massively, you're obviously doing something right. And that's simple and inexpensive and very easy. I'd say look for local, easy things to engage in, find a creative, hobby, or text a friend. Like, make a lunch date.
I feel like even the DMs, if there's someone that you follow and you're like, I feel like we would really vibe. Yeah. And you never know. I mean, even if it's someone like outside of your community or out of your comfort zone. I've done this before with people that I consider almost like celebrities, that I would love to be their friend and I feel confident that we would be friends. I'll send a DM, maybe a voice note, and some of those have actually turned into really beautiful relationships and friendships. But, that's a more extreme example. But I think even what you've said about finding those local events, and sometimes, you guys, it does involve an investment, and it could be like I use $35 as a Girlfriends Walk ticket price as an example, but sometimes you do need to pay to get into the room, to build community. The nice thing about that is that you have skin in the game, that, if I'm there and Michelle's there and we've both spent $35, we're going to show up because we've invested our money, kind of going back to your relationship with money and the energy behind money. You've invested your money and your time and your energy, even if you feel awkward and uncomfortable, of getting in that room, and you are going to hopefully extract something from it by taking that action, chatting with at least one person, maybe taking a video for social, tagging the people in it, and seeing where those relationships can grow and blossom and flourish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I charge for my community as well, right? But And I think it's one of the most valuable things we can do, right? It's our job to curate an experience and have a return on investment that's tenfold. And so
Absolutely.
I'm so committed to making that happen for people. So if it is a bit of a blind spot or a challenge or it feels difficult, invest in creating that for yourself. I think there are no secrets. Both you and I have invested to get ourselves where we've gone. So they're like, spoiler
And continue
alert.
to do.
Yeah, it's what you do, right?
And as your business grows, you typically invest more. I might have started investing $500 a year, and now it's $25,000 a year.
Yep.
And half the time it's in US dollars. So, as a Canadian, you like 3x that basically. So
I've paid American coaches.
We're having this like awkward smile at the same time. We're like, yes, we totally understand what we're saying. But, investing in those experiences and putting skin in the game, I think will have this like beautiful relationship and experience on the other end.
Just to highlight that, when you invest, you show up.
Yes.
And I feel like there's a line there I'm forgetting, but
if you invest, you show up, period.
yeah, whatever.
It's so true.
But we've hosted free events, and what happens day of, all of your old scarcity, all of your fear, and you cancel last minute. I'm used to it. I oversell those events because humans will human 100% of the time.
That's
right?
a good takeaway as well.
So if you want, and with Wild Collective, we used to price it a lot less than what we price it now. But what would end up happening, because it's 10 months on purpose, because I want them to leave really, really connected, and I'm nauseatingly committed to it. When it was not that expensive, retention went down, right? And so there is, back to the money frequency, when you invest, there's a frequency of how much you show up. And so you do want to have some skin in the game to actually get the return from what you're choosing to direct your resources towards.
I couldn't agree more. And I feel like that's a great inspiration for all of you listening to see where you can go and invest your time and money with great energy to build community and create new friendships and relationships. Maybe you find a new business bestie, business partner, and see what kind of magic can unfold from that. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Dr. Michelle Peris or poppyclinic.com or the-wild-collective.com. Someone else owns my URL.
Maybe you need to send them a DM.
I know.
Ask them nicely.
We've tried.
Okay.
How about you? Where can we find you?
You can find me at Inspire and Move on Instagram, as well as my website, inspireandmove.ca. That's where I always post all of my events. You can join my newsletter. We just launched that a couple months ago. Very exciting. I feel like a dinosaur that didn't have an email list before. So very proud to say I have an email list now. And that's where we release all of my events first, and would love to see any of you, especially for the first time, to come out to some of these events.
Yeah, it was a great event. Highly recommend. And I'm excited to do this with you again. This was so fun. So thank you for including me on a very special day.
Thank you for being here.